Hello everyone and welcome back. As you know, in the previous video, we talked about the assembly mode, and now in this video, we're going to place components in an assembly. You're looking at the home screen of Autodesk Inventor Professional. As you know, we have multiple options to start a part or an assembly or a drawing. We can click on this drop-down menu and select assembly.iam. IAM stands for Inventor Assembly, just like IPT stands for Inventor Part. Also, we have this other option here. We can click on this drop-down menu and select Assembly, and that will take us to the assembly mode. So when you start the software for the first time and when you start your first assembly, this first assembly will be named Assembly 1. So if I start another assembly, that will be named Assembly 2. It is going to continue to number the assemblies until you close the software. And when you restart it, it will start back from Assembly 1. So of course, when you save this assembly, you can rename it and you can change that name. This is just an automatically assigned name by Autodesk Inventor. So now before we move forward, there's something very important to understand. Every time we created a part in the previous videos, every time we designed a part, we added extrusions, fillets, and chamfers, all those features were listed in the browser tree. So only the features were listed in the browser tree, whatever we did to create or modify the part. But in this case, with the assembly, this time the components and subassemblies will be listed in the browser tree. So assemblies in a way are like containers. They contain the parts we designed or the purchase parts we use in the product. We design a bunch of products, get the CAD files from the suppliers, and then we put them in the container, which is the assembly, and in the assembly mode, we position them and reorient them to create the assembly, which is the product. So now let's place a component. And the place component function here in the top left corner, if you click on that, that will take you to the file explorer, which is the place component file explorer. And now I created this bookshelf assembly. It's the shelf assembly.iam, and you can see the preview on the left bottom corner. And I use this shelf IPT, upright IPT, and back support IPT to create the assembly. So like I said, all these components, however many times they were used or in what position they were used, they're all determined in the assembly file. So let's go ahead and open this up, one of these IPT files. Let's start with maybe upright.ipt. Let's click open, and that will bring the upright IPT to my screen. And it is attached to the cursor right now, but it is kind of in a transparent view. Why is that? Because it is not placed in space yet. You can see in the command prompt on the left bottom corner, it says place the component. So we can just click on the left mouse button and place the component. But before we do that, I want to show you the right click menu options on this one. So if I look at the right click menu, I can rotate X 90 degrees, rotate Y 90 degrees, rotate Z 90 degrees. What does that mean? Right now you can see that there's a XYZ on the component on the cursor, Y in green color, Z in blue color, and X in red color. This is the XYZ for the part. You also have another XYZ on the left bottom corner. That is the XYZ for the assembly. Right now, if I'm not happy with this position of this upright, I can always right click and rotate this on X, for example. Well, this is not the position I was looking for. Maybe I position it on Z. Maybe I just rotate Z 90 degrees. Now this looks like the orientation that I'm looking for this part. So of course I can click and place this on this in the space, but there's another option that is very helpful. The place grounded at origin in the right click menu can not only place the part, but also it grounds the part to the origin. So when you place it like that, now this first component is placed, the part is listed in the browser tree, but also there's a pin on the part icon, which means that this part is grounded and it cannot move if I try to hold, drag, and move it around. But the part is still available on the cursor. I can continue to add more uprights. So I can add one here, I can add one here, add one here. I can continue to add this, and as I add more components, they will all be listed in the browser tree, and it will number it automatically depending on how many times I add the component. So let's just right click and click OK and get out of the place component command. Now I can just move this around because this is not grounded. This is the number 5. And I can drag this and move this around freely in space, or the third one, or the second one. But the first one will not move because I grounded that to the origin. Why is that important? Because every time you're creating an assembly, you add the components and then you position them, you mate them together, you attach them together. So you need a reference component to use as a reference point. So you can use that component to attach all the other components. That means at least one component should be grounded. And of course, you don't have to use this right-click menu you don't have to just go to the upright and click open, and then you don't have to use this option here in the right click menu. You can always come to the browser tree and right click and uncheck grounded, or you can, for example, use upright 2 as the grounded component. You can just, it's totally up to you, and it depends on your design needs. Let's just go back to number 1. Let's make it grounded so it doesn't move, and we only need 2 uprights, so let's delete other 3. Now we only have 2 upright part files, and the first one is grounded. Now let's place another component. This time, let's use the right-click menu. Right-click, and you have the Place Component option available here as well. So when you click on that, now this time, let's add a few shelves. Let's click Open, and now you can see that this shelf orientation is not what I'm looking for. So maybe rotate X 90 degrees. Right now, I think I'm looking at the bottom side of it, so it has to be upside down. So let's rotate it one more time and rotate it one more time. Yeah, this is the right orientation. So now I can place one somewhere here, place one somewhere here, and place one somewhere here, and maybe place one somewhere here. So I placed 4 shelves, and let's go ahead and place the back support as well. Go to Place Component and click on Back Support, click Open, and maybe add one here, one here, one here, and one here. And let's just click OK. Now I added 2 uprights, I added shelf 4 times, and I added 4 back supports. Notice that they are all listed in the browser tree, but of course they're not in the right orientation. I need to mate them together. I need to attach them together so that the assembly makes sense. Of course, we're going to look into those features in the following videos, but as you can see, this assembly1 file now contains all the components, and they're repeated several times. Some of them are used 2, some of them are used 4 times. And of course, it's not just the components I can add to the assembly. I can also add assemblies to the assemblies. So let's just click on Place. Let's add Shelf Assembly entirely. Yeah, right now it is adding it kind of sideways. Let's rotate this on Z. Always just kind of try to look at the arrow there. The blue Z shows that, if I rotate the assembly 90 degrees on Z, I should be able to get the orientation I want. So rotate Z. Yeah, that looks okay. So now let's click OK. Now, as you can see, the shelf assembly is also listed in the browser tree, and I can click on plus sign, and I can just see how many, what parts were used, what features were used, what patterns were used, and how they were positioned. I can even look at the relationships between those components. So now in the following videos, we're going to go into the assemblies, and we're going to create and edit the parts, and we're going to create and edit the assemblies as well. So see you in the next video.